merging of the princely states. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel played a decisive role in the integration of the princely states. Privy purses. Privy purse was a payment made to the royal families of these princely states as part of their agreements to give up their ruling powers and integrate with the newly formed Indian nation state. Privy purses was abolished in the 26th Amendment of the Constitution of India in 1971. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi argued upon giving equal rights to all citizens and the need to reduce the government's revenue deficit. The path to constitution. Our national movement was not merely a struggle against a foreign rule. It was also a struggle to rejuvenate our country and to transform our society and politics. The experience gained by Indians in the working of the legislative institutions proved to be very useful for the country in setting up its own institutions and working in them. That is why the Indian Constitution adopted many institutional details and procedures from colonial laws like the Government of India Act 1935. Many of our leaders were inspired by the ideals of French Revolution, the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain, and Bill of Rights in the United States of America. So they incorporated some good points of the constitution of these in the Indian Constitution. They also got inspiration from the constitution drafted by Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders in 1928 and the outlines of the Indian Constitution prepared by the Indian National Congress at its Karachi session in 1931. The inspiration came from many other constitutions of the world. The Indian Constitution was inspired by the constitutions of many countries, and some of these included United Kingdom, USA, USSR, Australia, Japan, Weimar Constitution of Germany, Canada, Ireland. The path to constitution led to the making of the Constituent Assembly. The drafting of the document called the Constitution was done by an assembly of elected representatives called the Constituent Assembly. Elections to the Constituent Assembly were held in July 1946. Its first meeting was held in December 1946. Soon after, the country was divided into India and Pakistan. The Constituent Assembly was also divided into Constituent Assembly of India and that of Pakistan. The Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members, whereas earlier it had 389 members. The Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26 November 1949, but it came into effect on 26 January 1950. To mark this day, we celebrate January 26 as Republic Day every year. Why should we accept the Constitution made by the Constituent Assembly more than 50 years ago? The Constituent Assembly represented the people of India and a broad consensus of its time. There was no universal adult franchise at that time. It was elected by the members of the existing provincial legislatures. It ensured a fair geographical share of members from all the regions of the country. The assembly represented members from different language groups, castes, classes, religions, and occupations. The manner in which the Constituent Assembly worked gives sanctity to the Constitution. First, some basic principles were decided and agreed upon. Then, a drafting committee chaired by Dr. B. R. Ambedkar prepared a draft constitution for discussion. Several rounds of thorough discussions took place on the draft constitution, clause by clause. More than 2,000 amendments were considered. Every document presented and every word spoken in the Constituent Assembly has been recorded and preserved. These are called Constituent Assembly debates. These debates provide the rationale behind every provision of the Constitution. These are used to interpret the meaning of the Constitution. Philosophy of the Constitution. Values that inspired and guided the freedom struggle and were in turn nurtured by it formed the foundation for India's democracy. These values are embedded in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. They guide all the articles of the Indian Constitution. The Constitution begins with a short statement of its basic values. This is called the preamble to the Constitution. Taking inspiration from American model, most countries in the contemporary world have chosen to begin their constitutions with a preamble. It finally laid the guiding values of the Indian Constitution. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. Each and every word written in the preamble has a meaning. Let's study that. First, we the people of India. The Constitution has been drawn up and enacted by the people through their representatives and not handed down to them by a king or any outside powers. Sovereign, people have supreme right to make decisions on internal as well as external matters. No external power can dictate the government of India. Socialist, wealth is generated socially and should be shared equally by society. Government should regulate the ownership of land and industry to reduce socio-economic inequalities. Secular, citizens have complete freedom to follow any religion, but there is no official religion. Government treats all religious beliefs and practices with equal respect. Democratic, a form of government where people enjoy equal political rights, elect their rulers, and hold them accountable. The government is run according to the basic rules. Republic. The head of the state is an elected person and not a hereditary position. Justice. Citizens cannot be discriminated on the grounds of caste, religion, and gender. Social inequalities have to be reduced. Government should work for the welfare of all, especially of the disadvantaged groups. Liberty. There are no unreasonable restrictions on the citizens in what they think, how they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in action. Equality. All are equal before law. The traditional social inequalities have to be ended. The government should ensure equal opportunity for all. Fraternity. All of us should behave as if we are members of the same family. No one should treat the fellow citizen as inferior. In this slide, I introduce you to the eminent makers of the Constitution. Some of you may have noticed a name missing from the sketches of the makers of the Constitution: Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was the man who had the dream and the promise. Mahatma Gandhi was not a member of the Constituent Assembly, yet there were many members who followed his vision. Years ago, writing in his magazine Young India in 1931, he had spelled out what he wanted the Constitution to do. But Dr. B.R. Ambedkar opined a different view. He often bitterly criticized Mahatma Gandhi and his vision. In his concluding speech to the Constituent Assembly, he stated his anxiety very clearly. On the 26th of January 1950, we are going to enter a life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality, and in social and economic life, we have inequality. In politics, we will be recognizing the principle of one man, one vote, and one vote, one value. In our social and economic life, we shall, by reason of our social and economic structure, continue to deny the principle of one man, one value. How long shall we continue to live this life of contradictions? How long shall we continue to deny equality in our social and economic life? If we continue to deny it for long, we will do so only by putting our political democracy in peril. Finally, at the stroke of midnight hour on August 15, 1947, Jawaharlal Nehru gave his famous speech to the Constituent Assembly, Tryst with Destiny. Institutional design. A constitution is not merely a statement of values and philosophy. A constitution is mainly about embodying these values into institutional arrangements. It is a very long and detailed document, therefore, it needs to be amended quite regularly to keep it updated. Those who crafted the Indian Constitution felt that it had to be in accordance with people's aspirations and changes in society. They did not see it as a sacred, static, and unalterable law, so they made provisions to incorporate changes from time to time. These changes are called constitutional amendments. The Constitution describes the institutional arrangements in a very legal language. The Indian Constitution lays down a procedure for choosing persons to govern the country. It defines who will have how much power to take which decisions. It puts limits to what the government can do by providing some rights to the citizen that cannot be violated. With this, we come to an end to the chapter. Hope you all had a wonderful journey. Thank you.